And you're hauling your canoe. Tell us what kind of boat you're portaging.
Yeah, so I've got it's an old town, and it's a Penobscot, 16-foot Penobscot, and it's Royal X. So there's two kinds. There's a Royal X, which is 60 pounds, and there's the regular fiberglass, which is 80 pounds. The one company that was supplying Royal X to all the canoe companies stopped supplying back in I think 2011 or so. So if you can find an older canoe that's made of Royal X, it's lightweight. It's 60 pounds. It's indestructible. And I've put this canoe through the ringer. It's got quite a few marks on it, but it's still structurally solid, I think.
And you were pulling it like a wagon
Yeah.
behind you as you're walking along the interstate. What kind of portage cart were you using?
It's canoe kayak, the canoe kayak company out of Canada, and these guys do an expedition cart, and they do it absolutely brilliant. What I do is I use those wheels, strap them to the canoe, and then I have a fall harness. It's an old fall harness, and I bought a 7/8 shipping rope, a proper shipping rope. I connect the fall harness to the canoe, and then I can pull it like a mule. I can pull it up the divide, down the divide. I can go around all these dams, and it works like a charm.
How was it coming downhill? Because that highway, that's pretty steep road. Were you behind it?
Yeah.
Okay.
For the steep sections, I was behind it. So you're just sort of, in this case, I still have it. Actually, on the really steep part coming down, I didn't have the fall harness and the rope attached to it. I was just holding onto the back of it and walking it down. And the trick is, it feels great coming down. You're going a lot faster than going up, but you're using all different muscles. And so my legs,
Yeah, I bet.
my
I
legs
bet.
feel like gelatin.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you can feel it.
Was that the hardest part of the trip so far?
The divide.
Physically?
I think so.
Yeah.
There's yeah, the portaging can be challenging, especially with a whole ton of gear around the dams. But also, I think like for me, it turns into the wind. The wind on these rivers, especially on lakes. When you get to these big lakes, the deep big lakes, you have to watch out for the wind. So I'm super aware of the forecast and working with, am I going to paddle, am I not going to paddle, and just taking my time and trying to do it safely.
What's been the biggest problem that you've had? You encountered something that went wrong, or gear failure, or something near tragedy?
Let's see. A couple of close calls, I guess, on the on the Columbia, and then on the Snake. The Snake River, I wasn't exactly very well prepared for. I had the provisions, I had the right gear, and I had the experience to tackle it. But my initial thinking was actually go up the Columbia all the way to Canada, and to catch the Ponderay River, to be on water the whole way to the divide. But the Snake River, from the mouth, from the confluence of the Snake and the Columbia coming up, it's super rugged, and you're really in the middle of nowhere. There's lots of places where the sheer cliffs come right down. You can't get out. And I realized soon on, the wind picks up there as well. You know, the wind tunnels sort of pick up, and surprisingly, 1 hour it'll push one way, the other hour it's against you, and side to side. And there was one day there where I was pushed heavy to the side, and then when you're being pushed like upriver or to the side, you can track and you're okay. But I was pushed, and then when the waves start to come, these choppy waves, they can swamp you, and you have to watch out for that. So I'm bailing, I'm being pushed to the side, and then these sort of rollers are coming in, and I've grabbed onto some weeds and some river twigs, a whole bunch of them, sort of hold on. To start with, there was a log I was holding on to, and me and the log were just coming up and down. And then from there, I threw the rope out, and I was getting ready to jump for it to get out. But the whole point is, you have to think about hypothermia. So I had the wetsuit on, I had the PFD, of course, and in the PFD I have fire starter. I have a special vest to get into to try to get warm, And so you have to realize if you dip in, you have to be able to get out, and you have to be able to get warm, because there is absolutely nobody there to help you except for yourself.
Yep. 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 That's crazy. Lucky.
Right.
So, how about going over some of your gear? What you got? What kind of tent are you using?
Oh, right. So let's see. I can open up the river bag here. This is an old Duluth pack from I think the 1930s, 1940s. If you look here, pretty awesome. You can see get this map out of the way. You can see Cliff Wold's Wild Canoe Tours, Bovary, Minnesota, and it's marked number 40. So Cliff Wold, if you're familiar with the Boundary Waters in Ely, Minnesota, it's a pretty serious outfitter there. And so before he was an outfitter, Cliff Wold was a high school teacher in Minnesota, and he was running wild canoe tours, I think back in the 30s and 40s. So I got this pack, which is just awesome. And then I went to the Duluth Trading Company and got the hand-woven basket that goes inside. And so this just really stands up, and it's great. A little bit of the tent. The tent I've been using up until now is the Big Agnes Battle Mountain 3. I like a 3-person tent, so there's plenty of room for me, for the pad, for the bag, and then for all of my gear if need be. Then what I can do is I can keep everything dry. I can put the storm shelter over, turn on the marine radio, like with the weather, like the NOAA weather, and then walk into town. And then people aren't quite sure, is there somebody in the tent or is there not? So you're somewhat safe there. So this Big Agnes Battle Mountain 3 is awesome for cold weather. Then let's see. The pad's really important, and I bought all of the stuff secondhand as well. So all the stuff comes from the Goodwill, or it comes from eBay. So heavily discounted from what you would pay retail. Then I've got an X-Ped. This is a 3D7, and I blow this up at night, and it just I think it's really important to have a comfortable night's sleep after a long day's paddle. Then let's see. For my sleeping bag, I like this one a lot. I like the idea of the mummy pack sleeping bags, but I always feel a little bit claustrophobic. So I found this one, which is more my size. I'll show it to you here. This is the Sierra design, and let's see if we have the name here. Anyway, it's the great big one, so it keeps me warm. Then what's really, really important I've learned in extreme cold weather is the liner. So this is, I think it's a Sea to Summit liner, and this just keeps you warm. So you put this inside the bag and you are in business. You're nice and warm. And I needed this 2 nights ago up on the top of the divide. It was pretty cold.
Hopefully, we have an improvement in weather. Usually, we get plenty of snowstorms in Montana in May, like you experienced, but hopefully you'll start getting into spring and summer weather, and you might be laying on top of that at night rather than being in it.
Yeah, this might be too warm, exactly. Right.
And how about some of your, how about showing us your food barrel, one of them there? And
yeah, so this is one of my bear vaults. I like the idea of the bear vault to keep the honest bear honest, and to keep your food away from your tent. So the whole deal with this is when you spin it around, it actually it clicks, and then the bears aren't able to open it up. But so I keep mainly this is snacks here. So I've got 2 of these. I've got meals and I've got snacks, and I actually have a bucket full of disaster food that comes from Utah, and I think it's 120 servings, which is just, I mean, it's really good food too, but basically it's just add water. I don't know how to cook, which might sound ridiculous, but I don't know how to cook, so I'm really proud of myself when I can boil water correctly. And,
so what's your favorite meal? What do you like to eat?
Beef stroganoff. I like chili mac.
Yeah.
I can do chili mac and then also lasagna. Like for special nights,
Yep.
lasagna is a good night.
Since your route, especially lately, passing through some of the towns in Montana, have you been taking advantage of some of the local restaurants or bars to eat, or are they sort of closed down dealing with the COVID-19 situation?
They have been closed down. I cleared the state of Oregon actually the day before they closed down, and then when I arrived in Washington the next day, I learned that Governor Jay Inslee had just closed that state down as well. It was mandatory lockdown, and he gave 48 hours for people to sort of get their homes in order and whatnot to sort of adapt to the change. And so I got permission to hop on the Snake River from the Corps of Engineers, and also from the Nez Perce people up in Idaho to cross their lands. And then once I had that, then I hopped on the river and went north. At that time, Idaho was still open. But I was out of pocket, out of contact. I had no phone. I had no internet reception for the vast majority of those 9 days to get there. When I arrived, Idaho was also closed down. So it was sort of a takeout deal. But the vast majority of the time, I was using my own food and camping very much wild. Things just started to open up when I got to Missoula, but most of the restaurants and bars were still closed.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, yeah. So what's the plan the next month? What's the goal? You're going to hang out here in Helena for a few days and then head out on the Missouri River.
That's the idea. Yeah, get into the current. So I've been fighting against the current this entire time, the last 3 months, uphill and up current against it. It wasn't as tough as it was 2 years ago. We had record flooding on the Columbia and the Spokane and the Clark Fork. This time was easier. So, but to get into the Missouri, I am so excited, and to see and to meet some old friends and to meet new people as well, and many folks from the group as well. To meet people and to continue forward this time as well, all the way to the Mississippi is just going to be absolutely awesome.
Right. Yeah, looking forward to it. This is Norm Miller, by the way, if you just tuned in, founder of the Missouri River Paddlers Group. I'm going to be paddling with Neal this coming next weekend in the Gates of the Mountains on the Missouri, along with Jim Emanuel and Will Garvin. So we're looking forward to showing Will down there. And now that you'll be on the Missouri here this week, it'll be your first time of this trip that you get to use Dave Miller's book.
Yeah.
But you did use it a little bit 2 years ago?
I used it a lot 2 years ago. Yeah, I actually, my thinking initially was I wanted to do it by myself. I wanted to sort of, have the raw sort of natural experience and sort of the stumble-upons. And then I think it was the first or second day, and I was paddling along, and I cleared this one lake. And then that night in my tent, I went back and looked at what I had just passed up. And Dave was talking about this one, like, historic bar at this old, like, lodge. And you could pitch your tent behind, and it was like this awesome historic bar. And I was kicking myself. I passed that up. And so from there on out, I was just addicted. And just each night, I would dip into the book and sort of see what I was up against and to see his advice and whatnot. And it's an absolute must. And especially like for me going through Lake Fort Peck, this is 2 years ago. And oh my gosh, he calls it like the one time where he thought about giving the whole thing up. I mean, just psychologically, it is demanding. It's strenuous. It's a huge question mark. Are you going to be able to move forward? But to have his advice and sort of and to have his map, this book, I was an absolute klutz and dropped my phone. I didn't even see it fell out of a pocket, I think, but I dropped my phone into the drink on that lake, like the third or fourth day. I got turned around and all I had was his map, which actually saved me.
Oh, that's great.
And, so this book, I highly recommend it, and thank you so much, Dave.